You know what's ironic about an absent father? They got what they came for, but they don't even want it. Think about that one for a second. And the only reason I thought about that is because apparently I saw, a headline Elon Musk is having a 13th child. And I was like, yeah, he's not going to be in that kid's life. And it got me thinking about absent fathers. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. But I was like, but what's something funny? And I was like, well, yeah, they got what they literally came for. And they don't even want it. They just want it out there, you know? And these are the things you see on the internet, right? And they don't really matter to you because you're like, oh, that's happening. It's fake. It's on the internet. It's not affecting my life. So, right? I don't have to think about it. And there's a lot of things like this. Another example is like you see videos on the internet of people putting a phone on their dashboard of their car and then speeding through traffic. And it always seems like it's a Nissan Altima, right? We have that big joke on the internet that, oh yeah, watch out for those Nissan Altimas. They go through freeways and highways like they're on Grand Theft Auto and they just stole a car. And I know that that's a joke. I know it's a thing. There's plenty of videos online that show that. But it's something that you never think that you'll see in real life. And I have to report, I had the pleasure, not really, it was kind of crazy when you see one in real life, but I got to see a Nissan Altima speeding through traffic in real life. And I was like, wow, this must be how people felt when they saw Bigfoot, right? Or the Loch Ness Monster. Because they're like, I hear all these stories. People talk about these things all the time, but I'm not actually going to see one, am I? Right? Like, I'm going to hold this thing as truth. I'm going to be like, yeah, this exists. I know it exists because everyone talks about it. I see it in the stories they tell me. But it's never going to happen to me, right? Like, little old me. I'm never going to get to experience this. But no, I did. That thing maybe took the skin off the teeth of my front bumper, but I got to see it up close and personal. That's how I knew. But even from a distance, you could tell that's a Nissan Altima, just in the way it's moving, right? I feel like you could take all the logos and branding off of a Nissan Altima, and then you would just put that thing on the road, and you can be like, oh yeah, that's a Nissan Altima. I think there's a few cars that exist that way, right? Like you could just strip them of all branding, but then if you take the person that owns that car, you let them drive it still. I think they drive it a certain way. Stereotypes are bad. And I know that. But then the people that like double down where they're like, yeah, I mean, stereotypes are bad. I know. But then why are they true? I'm like, no, see, no, don't. We're perpetuating these things, by saying stuff like that. But it is hard to discredit them when you see one running right in front of you, on the traffic of the road. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, right? I mean, it's dangerous, right? Don't go speeding in your cars, especially not a Nissan Altima. But they're very smooth. That's why they can move that fast. They look like a porpoise, really, with their rounded shoulders, right? But I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, seeing a Nissan Altima in real life is like seeing a zebra. Because we know they exist, but still, when you see one, you're like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, yeah, I can Google right now, speeding Nissan Altima through traffic, and it'll pop up. I can Google zebra, and it'll pop up, right? I know that these things exist because the internet tells me they do. And anything I say on the internet, I know is true. That's why anyone that listens to this podcast is probably the most informed, up to date person, because everything I talk about is very cutting edge, very true, and you know not to doubt any of it. That's why don't look anywhere else, just listen to this. I won't steer you wrong. But I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, seeing a Nissan Altima is like seeing a zebra. Because you're like, yeah, I know you exist, but you're not like in my life. I know you're somewhere else, right? Like when I went to Africa, they were a dime a dozen, right? You just see those suckers walking right along the road. It got to a point, right? You're about 3 days in to the trip when you're like, oh yeah, no, I've seen enough of these. I actually saw some people talking about the Africa trip I went on. I saw some people by like day 3, there would be a zebra walking by. They wouldn't even take a picture of it. Compared to day 1, right? Minute we saw a zebra, I remember that was the first animal we saw. It was a bunch of zebras and then a giraffe. And I remember everyone just scrambled to take a photo. They're like, oh, I gotta get a photo. I gotta get a photo. But then, yeah, about 3 days in, right? Only, 72 hours later, people are like, yeah, that's fine. I have that. I already captured it in my real life Pokedex, which is just my camera roll that I'm going to show people when I go back home. I'm going to make them sit through a PowerPoint. I'm going to put inspirational music behind it. And I'll be like, yeah. I'm trying to create an ambiance, I'm trying to create a vibe. But yeah, I also thought about, about 3 days in, do you think there were any zebras or giraffes that were like getting really cocky? Because they were like, yeah, these tourists, they love taking pictures of me. Like, watch this, watch this. They come around in the Jeep, the giraffe's acting all high and mighty. That's not just because of his neck, also ego wise. And he's talking to his friends that haven't really been out on the main road. So he's like, no, watch this, watch this. They're going to stop, take a bunch of pictures of me. They've been doing it. And then imagine the Jeep just speeds by and the giraffe's friends are like, really? You thought you were hot shit, didn't you? And you're like, no. I swear, I don't know what happened. Let me talk to someone. Let me talk to something changed. And it's not my fault. I'm still the same guy. They used to love me. I don't know what happened. That's probably how people off social media feel, like celebrities off of social media. They have no like temperature check on like if people like them, right? Which probably makes people like them. I think when you're on the internet, right, it only gives people a chance to learn more about you. And then I think if you learn enough about anyone, you'll probably, not even that they're a bad person, but you'll find that, oh, there's probably something you don't agree with. People always say that thing. A crush is just a lack of information. And I think maybe celebrity worship follows that same trend. People love celebrities, right? I think that's why maybe in the 90s, 80s, whatever, in the 20th century, probably these celebrities were able to get so big because it was like forced exclusivity. People didn't know much about these celebrities, and then the little amount that they would give them, they would cling to. They're like, oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael Jackson. I know I don't see you very often, so this little thing you gave me, I'm going to keep and obsess over. Thank you so much. The Beatles, everyone from that era. I don't know if they're the same era as their overlap. I don't know. Paul McCartney, he's still alive, I talked about him. He was at the Super Bowl last week. But I think, yeah, this also is funny because it's relevant to Elon Musk. I feel like Elon was like beloved, right, by the general public when we didn't know much about him. When he just was quiet, he would post random memes on Twitter and we'd be like, oh, tech guy. Hey, tech guys, you're usually out of touch. This is cool to see that you engage with the culture, right? Usually you guys just take your millions and billions and you go sit in a room with fluorescent light and you try to make technology that's 1% better than what it's been for the past decade. But this is cool. This is cool to see you have the time to engage with people just like us. But then you learn more about Elon, right? Just like I said, he's having his 13th kid with, I think, like the fourth or fifth person. And then the image you've created starts to crumble. And you're like, oh no, he's not the quirky engineer I thought he was. He's not the guy I saw in Big Bang Theory that made a cameo. Man, I thought when I saw him in Iron Man 3 in that opening scene, I thought I really liked him. But the more I learn, I don't know, the more I'm not becoming a fan of this guy. But that's something you don't got to worry about, right? You'll never see him, right? You don't have to run into him in real life. So hopefully should be no real life implications. Imagine if you were Elon's best friend, though, right? He keeps doing weird shit. And he's like, yo, you want to get dinner this week? And you're like, man, I don't know if I agree with a lot of this stuff now. He's like, what? What? No, come on. Come on. You remember you said you were going to introduce me to that new place? You're like, yeah, I know, but it's kind of like my place. I don't know if I want you there anymore. Because it is good. I know it's good. So I feel like it might become your favorite place next, too. And then I don't want to do that to them. I like the people at this restaurant. I don't want to, sick you onto them. Because I don't like what you got going on right now. Okay? Also, the Cybertruck didn't love the design, man. He's like, what? No, come on. Come on. You're just taking cheap shots now that you don't like me. I'm like, no, I've been in therapy. I'm brave enough to say these things now. Okay? I need to practice speaking my mind. And if you can't accept that, then I don't think this is a relationship that we should be a part of. And he's like, relationship? Friendship. Okay, Elon? Not everything's weird like you make it, bud. Okay? But speaking of cars, I saw this Nissan Altima on the road. And when I was also driving later that day, I saw someone that was driving the same exact car as me. And I was like, wow. Look at that. Hey, good taste, huh? Anytime I see someone driving the same exact car as me, I always think, do they, are they clocking me the same way I'm clocking them? Because I'm like, oh, look at, hey, hey, oh, what's up? Like, anytime you see someone wearing the same shoes as you, there's like this, inherent kindred spirit, right? That you have with that person. I remember when I was playing basketball, I think I was in like middle school, and I remember I was lined up at the free throw line. Now, I wasn't shooting, I was one of the three people on the side. And the guy next to me, he leans over in my ear and whispers, "Hey, babe, what are you doing after the game?" I was like, "What the fuck?" I don't know. I mean, I just got out of something, so I don't know if I'm quite ready. I know I'm in the game about to get this rebound, but maybe I'll get a second rebound, huh? He's like, "Yeah, I would like that very much." No, but he leaned over in my ear and he whispered, "Hey, man, nice shoes." And I looked down and we had the same exact pair of shoes. And I was like, "Oh, look at that." Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was cool because it exhibits this level of like, not even self awareness, but it's like external awareness because you're wearing the same shoes. You should acknowledge that. It's cool. I think actually you're like, yeah, you're too in yourself if you don't acknowledge, like, oh, you guys got the same thing. Like, I feel like this would be a really big, we'll call it a red flag, but imagine you're in college, right? And you sit next to someone on the first day of school and they have the same backpack as you. And you go, oh, hey, nice backpack. And then if they look at your backpack and they say, yeah, thanks, find a new seat. Don't sit next to that person ever again. That's not good. That sure they might be having an off day, but if they don't banter back, that's not good. That's I feel like a little litmus test. If you ever meet one of your friends, like significant other, right? You ever meet someone your friend has just started dating, and you throw out a little joke like that. If they don't reciprocate, it feels kind of like, uh oh. Hey friend, are you making the right choice? I don't know if that's the right person for you. They're like, no, 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 no. I love them. I'm like, love them? I've only been dating for 2 months. They're like, no, 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 this is serious. This is serious. I'm like, well, don't make it that serious because I know it may seem serious because that's all your partner knows how to be because they can't take a fucking joke. How do they not see we have the same backpack? And they're like, yeah, why'd you bring back your backpack to brunch? I'm like, yeah, I ask the questions around here. Okay? But that's a great test, right? If someone has the same thing as you and they acknowledge that to you too, they play the little game. That's really easy, right? And so I saw this someone driving the same exact car as me on the road, and I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw the person driving it, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's a very attractive person. I was like, I guess, the car just attracts that kind of person. Don't, hey, enough. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, watch it. All right, whatever thought you're about to have, keep it. Shelve it. I don't want to hear it, okay? But then I was thinking, oh, you know, being a human, we find these little things to relate on, right? Like you meet someone, you're like, hey, how's it going? They're like, good, good. Yeah, what's up with you? I'm like, nothing. I just got back from the cheese factory. They're like, no way, cheese. I've been getting into cheese myself. Yeah. But I think there's a little bit of a few holes in my knowledge when it comes to cheese. And I go, oh, I guess that means your cheese knowledge must be Swiss. And they're like, oh, yes, yes, yes. What does that mean? I actually haven't studied that one yet. I'm like, oh, it's the one with the holes. They're like, oh, and I see why that's funny now. Very good, very good. But you ever meet someone and you find these little things, right? Like cheese. And then you start to think, oh, now we can talk about cheese. And we start to learn other things where it's like, yeah, why'd you get into cheese? Oh, well, my parents were really big into cheese. And you're like, wow, really? Smelly household then? You're like, oh, as ever. It's like, yeah, yeah, no, I'm a newly christened cheese lover. And so I don't know much about it. And my house still smells quite good. And I'm like, don't worry, that'll fog you up in no time once you start letting it rip. But you find these little things, and then maybe a unlikely partnership will develop because you found this other thing that will be the launch pad to a great and burgeoning relationship, right? It started with cheese, but it started to get, what is it? Nope, I got nothing. I was gonna say it started very smelly, but then but all you'll smell is a love in the air, right? But that's how these things happen. You find some random thing, you use that, and then you build on top of that. the reason I think some people struggle to like start relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic, right? Friendship, is that they don't know how to do that little banter piece, right? They don't know how to say, "Oh, nice backpack. Oh, yeah, yours is not too bad yourself. Is that this year's model or last year's model?" You're like, "No, actually, last year's model. Yeah, I got the last one. Waited in line. It was a raffle, an auction, but I got there." You're like, "Wow, limited edition, huh?" But it looks the same as mine. You're like, "Yeah, I guess these things aren't that interesting when you really comes down to it, right? If you know, you know, right? Now you know that I'm part of the elite group, and you're like, wow, well, maybe I should spend more time around you, huh? Maybe bump shoulders, rub elbows with some of the higher ups like yourself, and maybe I'll get a good backpack next year." And you're like, yeah, exactly right. Gauruv, nice to meet you, right? I wouldn't do that much. That's way too much, right? That's a lot of play. Don't do that shit. But if you can't do that, it's hard to, you know, have a relationship with someone. But some people don't do that, right? I've met a lot of people that don't know how to banter, and it scares the fuck out of me. Because I'm like, so when you and your friends, assuming you have some, right? Uh, when you guys get together, what do you talk about? Because if you're not like bantering about, then what the fuck is clogging the airwaves, right? You meet some of these people that don't know how to banter, and they're like, "Yeah, I talked with my friend. We had a dinner. We talked for over 2 hours." And I'm like, "About what?" What could you guys have possibly said? And you're like, "Well, yeah, we do dinner every 2 weeks, so there's a lot to catch up on." I'm like, "Yeah, but 2 hours? If you're just stating facts, that's not enough time, or that's not enough stuff to fill the time." You know what I'm saying? But I thought about it. If two people have the same exact car, do you think there's ever been a time when people have bonded over them having the same exact car, and then that starts a relationship? And then, yeah, maybe they get married and they buy a house, and then they have this goofy looking garage because it's two of the same exact car. Do you think that's happened? Statistically, it probably has. And there's probably a high chance, right? Because, like I said, people bond over these like things, right? Oh, you have this car, I have the same car. We already have a lot in common. Everything I know about you is true about me too. Look at that. That's what I'm saying. That's sometimes how a crush develops. You can see someone on social media. They have one commonality with you, right? You're like, "Oh my God, they like basketball too." And you're like, "I think I'm in love with this person." They know the basic rules of basketball, and I find them physically attractive. I could see the rest of my life with this person. But then you learn a little more, right? And then you're like, "Uh oh. No, no, no. This is not good." They might prefer, well, what's something I don't like? I mean, there's so many things I don't like, right? But at the same time, I love everything. Yes, I'm a very agreeable person. I agree. But I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, do you think there's ever been someone that's like bonded over having the same car as someone, and then yeah, they go all the way, and then one day they pull up in their garage and you're like, "Yeah, one of us should sell our cars, right?" And you're like, "Yeah." This is weird. Because what if one of us, and this makes me think, wait, no, because this can't be possible. Fuck. This is one of those things where I think if I said this, there would be some people in my life where they're like, "Garv, you fucking idiot. How do you not know this? How old are you? 26, and you don't know this basic thing about life?" And then there's the other half of the people I know in my life, the half of people I like, where they would be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know that either, honestly." Or I do know the answer, and I'm not going to make you feel bad about it. And my question here is, if you have the same model car, does a car key work on two different cars? Like if you have a Honda Civic, right? A white Honda Civic, 2016. If you use that car key on another Honda Civic, white, 2016, will it work? Like, I don't know how that works. Again, like I said, there's probably some of you, probably not, because very smart, funny people will listen to this podcast. But there's some people that I would instantly, very quickly distance myself from that would probably make me feel bad. I don't like those people, right? Which it works out, right? I guess we don't like each other. But I don't like those people when you say, like, "Oh, I don't know this simple thing that maybe I should know." And they're like, "Really? How do you not know this?" I think I've talked about this in the past. But yeah, those people that, when you're like, "Oh yeah, I've never had a ciabatta sandwich." I don't even know what a ciabatta sandwich is. You don't? You don't know what a ciabatta sandwich is? This could be made up. I don't know. Ciabatta's a type of bread, right? This is actually the perfect example. If I said I don't know what ciabatta bread is, there could be someone, right, who's super into bread, right? They get that money, not that bread. But maybe they're into artisanal wheat, and then they would be like, you don't know what ciabatta is? And I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, well, how is that possible? I'm like, hey, I got my basics covered, okay? White wheat sourdough. I don't need to know other shit, okay? I know brioche. That's a thing. See, I'm already above average. Don't make me feel bad. Because also, there's plenty of shit I know that you probably wouldn't know. You want to play this game? You want to play this game, motherfucker? Fine. Fine. What God just released in this video game called Smite 2? This is what I've been playing recently. What God just released, huh? Huh? Rom? Yeah? You don't know that? Oh, who's Rom? You don't fucking... Fuck you, man. Now that's a little different, right? Knowing a specific release, the most recent patch of a very specific video game versus knowing a type of bread. Okay, granted, they probably have very different audiences. Like if you search both those things up in Google Trends, I'm sure it'd be a staggering difference of results, but I'm still correct, okay? I don't think you should make someone feel bad. I think you should see this is also another perfect opportunity. You should use that opportunity when someone doesn't know something to inform them in a kind way. And then you guys can bond out over that, where you could be like, oh, you don't know what ciabatta bread is. Well, this is what it is. It's actually quite good. Do you like maybe a comparable bread? If you like that, you would probably like ciabatta. Hey, you know what's a great place that has ciabatta bread? This place. Do you want to go sometime? I think you'd love it. See? That's what you're missing out on. When you say, oh, you don't know what ciabatta bread is? well, I just don't see how that's possible. Because we all live the same lives. So if I know what ciabatta bread is, how do you not know what ciabatta bread is? You think if someone says, you're going to a thing, originally it was a plan for 5 of you to go to a thing. Let's say it's a concert. But what about, near the end or last minute, that's what it's called. Last minute, one of your friends goes, actually, guys, I won't be able to make it. You guys go on without me. Seriously. Is it then your job to report back to that person and tell them how much fun you had? Because if they're like, yeah, I can't make it, guys. It's okay. I know. I wish I could be there. I know you guys want me there, but I just can't be there. Go on. Go have fun without me. Don't let me take away from it. It'd be good, right? A good feedback loop to tell them, hey, we actually did end up going, right? We made it on time, despite you canceling last minute. And we actually had a great time. And we were all talking about it actually. And we were thinking, we probably had more fun that you weren't there. And it's like, okay, well, that's nice you guys had fun, but you didn't have to say that second part. You're like, no, really, we thought about it. And we're actually going to go to more concerts. And we were just talking amongst ourselves and being like, should we invite you? And we were like, no, because this is so good. This experience we're having right now, this is awesome. We should not change this. Let's just go as 4. Oh, okay. So I'm out of the friend group. No, we still got the group chat. We'll still type in there. But we do have another group chat for the serious concert goers, and we're probably going to utilize that the most. We'll probably do like big stuff, right? In the other group chat and be like, happy holidays whenever there are certain holidays. And your birthday, if one of us remembers it, we'll type it in there. But we're just going to move over to the other group chat. And I thought about that. Yeah, if someone's like, no, you guys go without me. It's okay. Don't have a worse time because I'm not there. You guys go and have fun. Don't let this, me not being there ruin it. Is it then your job to confirm with them and be like, no, you didn't ruin it? Again, you shouldn't say that it was better because they weren't there. Leave that part out. But should you be like, hey, just following up, reaching out to you once again on this. It was awesome. And your absence actually didn't really even play a role. We had a blast. No, of course. I know you're not supposed to do that. I know. What you're also not supposed to do is next time when that 5 of you do hang out together, do not talk about last time. Because then that person's gonna be like, yeah, 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 yeah. You say an inside joke, the fifth pisson. What are we talking about? You say an inside joke, the fifth person laughs, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What are you laughing at? Hmm? Yeah. No, we were laughing at an inside joke, but what are you laughing at? No, go ahead, explain. You found a lot of humor in it. What was so funny? Because I'm laughing for maybe a separate reason, but if you're laughing for an additional reason I didn't catch, well, fill me in. Because I love humor. I love laughing. I love levity. So fill me in. Go on. Why are you laughing? Yeah, don't do that. That's also fucked up. That's really fucked up. But definitely don't follow up with the friend that bailed last minute and be like, hey, by the ways, no effect, really. If you ever want to cancel last minute again, be our guest because that worked out. It's weird. Yeah, we got in. They were like, yeah, we only have tables for four up in VIP. Did I mention also? Yeah, we got boosted to VIP because they were like, yeah, someone canceled last minute, and it was like this VIP box that was a four-seater, and they were like, oh my god, you guys are a four-person group. That's perfect. Because if you had one more, that would fucking ruin it. Like, you guys wouldn't have gotten such a good experience if there was a fifth one of you. And you're sure there's not a fifth, like in the bathroom or something? There's four of you? Perfect. Yeah, no, just follow me this way. We'll get you up and situated in that box. Where all my munch is at, getting situated in that box. Okay. I thought about it, and I think human effort, right, models human body healing. Think about it, right? As you get older, you might get a cut on your hand or something, on your forearm, right? We sometimes randomly end up with a scratch there, and we're like, how did that happen? I don't have a pet cat, so where did where did this giant gash come from? And sometimes it happens. And when you're younger, right? Maybe that will clear up in about a week, and then there'll be this slight scar for maybe like a month, and then it'll be like it never happened. But when you get older, your body doesn't regenerate that fast, right? And I've seen a lot of older people, they're just fashioned with bandages, and you're like, oh, damn, yeah, because you got to bring in some external help because the in-house troops are not getting it done anymore. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that lines up exactly how like people are, right? Like, ever see someone that's worked in the industry, right? There's respective industry for 3 decades, 30 years. And you see them at the end of their maybe professional career kind of slow down and not care as much. And, that's why a lot of companies, they're like, we like young talent so we can develop it and they'll be hungry as ever, right? That's a big thing. Is that true? Probably not, right? Everyone has a different situation. There could be a very busy person that's younger that maybe won't pay attention to the job too much, and then someone a little older that has it all fixed or figured out, and they can maybe offer a little more time and concentration to the job. So it's probably not right to make that assumption. But it is true that, yeah, when you get older, your body doesn't heal as quick. And I would say in general, when you get older, you're like, yeah, I've done this job for a while. If they want to fire me, whatever. I'll take the retirement package. I'll be done. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Our body lines up with our mind in a way, right? Because our body's like, yeah, we'll get to it. Whatever. What is it? You got a cut on your forehead? We'll get to it. Just don't go outside or whatever. Don't put a bandage over it. We'll get to it. Okay. And that's why I think when you're older, right? You might get an open task, and then they're like, yeah, can you take a look at this? And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it whenever I want. Okay. Just because you're like, I don't care. And when you're younger, right, you got to be like, oh, I'm on it. Yep, no, I'm actually looking at it right now. You ever get that? You get a cut, and by the time you're like dabbing it, right, you're kind of putting some water and stuff on it, it stops the bleeding, right? It's already starting to repair itself. Your body is so on top of it, right? It's like your body trying to prove to yourself like it's still worth it. You're like, no, keep me around. I'm still doing my job. Whereas, like, yeah, when you get older, I feel like your body's like, hey, if you're not going to try, I'm not going to try, okay? Don't hold me to a different standard that you're not even holding yourself to, okay? If you're not in it to win it, then I'm not in it to win it, okay? And I think that's a thing, right? You ever surround yourself with people that are maybe a little more proactive, go-getters, start to rub off on you. And then when you hang out with people with maybe bad habits, shout out Ed Sheeran. Is that one of his songs? Is that one of his? I don't fucking know. Bad habits. That's like a song or an album, right? I don't know. But when you hang out with people with bad habits, then maybe you start to adopt some of those bad habits because they're not great habits, but you see that this person's getting by. I I really only need to get by, don't I? I don't need to excel. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe pass the ketamine, and you're like, oh my goodness, they're British too, and you're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's not good for many reasons. And you're like, oh, well, I'm hanging out with them in it, and you're like, oh, it's happening. they're plaguing you from the inside out. The signs are there. But I hope that you are as limber, nimble, and healthy as ever because I'm going to need you to do some heavy lifting and press the like button on this video. Remember, you should just be showing up these episodes and dropping the like and then sitting down and locking in for an episode. So make sure you leave a like, you leave a comment. Appreciate the support so much. Just keep it coming, and I will talk to you next week. Okay?